Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Now, SAPS data analyst Lambertus Steyn is back in the dock at the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial. He is in the witness box and is the state's witness number 4. He gave explosive evidence of possible links between one of the suspects and singer Kelly Khumalo. Steyn told the court one of the accused allegedly communicated with Khumalo in the days leading up to the killing, and even on the day. It also emerged a SIM swap was allegedly done on Meyiwa's cell phone a day after he was killed. Let's get more legal analysis now on the Meyiwa court proceedings from legal expert Elton Hart. Mr. Hart, thank you very much for your time here on eNCA. Just firstly, with regards to the defense and how they've been cross-examining so far, especially those who are defending, for instance, your accused number 3 and 5. At the moment, it's accused number 3's lawyer that is cross-examining. They've been implicated by cell phone data, a silent witness. How will they, squirm their way out of this?
Masego, is going to be very difficult for them to actually try and get themselves out of this pickle, because there is now proof that there was communication between them and Kelly Khumalo, and also between, I think it's accused number 5 and accused number 1. So there is that communication. The only thing that they can most probably sort of hammer and nail on is that whatever evidence Lambertus Steyn has given to the court at this point in time only shows that there was communication between parties, and that's not illegal. The only thing that they need to now work on is that if they cannot prove what was the content of the communication, that would sort of have implicated the accused person to say that there was an instruction to kill Senzo Meyiwa, or there was a collusion to actually kill Senzo Meyiwa, then it is telephone calls between people. The only thing is that I don't know, under the 220 admissions, they somehow did not, they said that they didn't know each other prior to this case. So here's now links that show that before the case. But I also know that one of the accused said he only got that number in 2019 while the calls was made. And we know from previous practices that cell phone numbers are recycled by some of the cell phone service providers. So if they can prove that this was a recycled number that belonged to somebody else prior to them getting that numbers, then maybe one can work their way out of that pickle to say, I got a number from Vodacom, MTN, Celsius, or whoever it is in 2018. But the communications that you talk about is in 2014. So by 2014, I don't know who was the owner of. You guys will have to come and speak to the cell phone providers to say, who was that number referred to? I cannot tell you, but I can tell you from 2018 that I only had this number from 2018, because I could also hear one of them saying his name is Muzi, but that was like sort of half a tail towards how a number was saved, and not specifically. So it's a little bit technical, but the evidence is there to show that these numbers were communicating. The content, what was communicated of these numbers, that is not clear, and we'll wait for Sergeant Mabasa to come and testify to see if we can now prove what was communicated, because some of the information was also deleted, so it's no longer there. So that is where the state also will have a little bit of difficulty to prove that they colluded. Yes, we can now show that there were some talks between them.
And of course, that link also just shocking quite a lot of people. But also, Mr. Steyn, I think the defense agrees, obviously, that the people on the stand or in the dock should not be the ones who are facing trial, right? They've been repeating, for instance, the other docket that is not being discussed. Particularly Zandile Mshololo, advocate Zandile Mshololo for accused number 5. She keeps repeating, what she's been saying throughout this trial about those who are in the house having to be the ones that are standing trial today. But what happens now? How does she go around the fact that although this current witness has put Kelly Khumalo possibly in that kind of predicament and goes with her story, but also adds her own client in the whole scheme of things?
No, indeed. The evidence that's currently before court shows that there was communications prior to Senzo Meyiwa's death and after Senzo Meyiwa's death between Kelly Khumalo and the number that they allege belongs to accused number 5. So we don't know yet, because Zandile Mshololo still needs to come and cross-examine where they would make maybe concession to say that number does belong to accused number 5, or when did he actually acquire that number. So that still needs to be seen. But if it is that they're going to concede and say the number belongs to accused number 5, then it shows that there was talks between. But now my story is again going to the content of the conversations to say what was discussed between accused number 5 and accused number 4. And I know the state will now come and say that accused number 5 already has, I think it's 6 life imprisonments that he got for various crimes pertaining to being a hitman and stuff like that. And they would like to say that, okay, maybe he was the orchestrator. Maybe he was not in the house on the fateful night, but maybe he got the hired guns to actually do what they did to Senzo Meyiwa. And somehow you connected to Kelly Khumalo to say, okay, maybe she was the one that actually now sort of have got this hitman to orchestrate this hit on Senzo Meyiwa. And that is what the evidence is suggesting. And that's how the state is currently putting it before the court to say, we suggest that Kelly Khumalo actually planned with accused number 5 so that accused number 3 and I think accused number 1 actually execute the hit on Senzo Meyiwa. That's how it at this point sits. But obviously there's still a lot of revelations that may come that would put a spanner in the works or change the dynamics of how we view the evidence.
Mr. Hart, you know, we discussed with another legal expert last week, obviously the fact that each lawyer has the state's witness and what it is that the witness will present, etc. So as much as South Africans were surprised about what Colonel Steyn told the court last week, the defense lawyers were not, right? They were expecting that their clients would be implicated in terms of data analysis. So what is the state's plan then, bringing a client, or rather bringing a witness who will corroborate or put some of the men who are currently in the dock, you know, to say that these are the correct people facing trial, but at the same time saying Kelly Khumalo and implicating Kelly Khumalo, the same person that the state the week before said was not actually intending to call to stand?
But I think now what the state soon realized with the evidence that Colonel Steyn will bring is that in the event that they would bring Kelly Khumalo to come and testify, she might say, yes, I spoke to accused number 5, and this is a possibility that she can raise to say, but they phoned me for a booking because I'm a dancer, I'm a singer, we perform. So this was on, and I know one of her numbers is saved as Kelly Khumalo bookings, to say that, listen, yeah, they phoned me for a gig and I had to perform a gig for them where they enlisted my services. And that was what our conversation was about. And even after the death of Senzo Meyiwa, I had to move on with my life. And that's what they can raise. So that's why I'm saying the content of the conversations, if we don't have audio recordings as to what was discussed, we cannot with 100% surety say this is that they discussed how they're going to set their plan in motion to actually then execute and kill Senzo Meyiwa. We cannot say that unless there's audio recordings to that effect. And obviously one looks at how the data is presented and how the state, and the reason why the state, it was also funny for me that the state said, we're not going to call Kelly because she was in the house. And it's because the state then already knew that this is what Colonel Steyn is, and there's a link that is there. And she might be a person that will be charged at a later stage once this matter is finalized and the court has made certain findings pertaining to some of the accused. And then they can charge her because the crime will not disappear, because then they will just use evidence in this case, in that case, if they're going to actually pursue or prefer charges against her.
And I guess it's very important that they do that, and they do it carefully as the state, Mr. Hart, because if they do it, if they, you know, charge Kelly Khumalo and those in the house without actually doing proper investigations and she's acquitted, it's going to be very difficult to convince the court at a later stage to put her on trial again, right?
No, definitely so, because there's that, what we call because if now the accused 1 to 5, say for instance, there's a lot of discrepancies and they cannot be convicted. And the court says, okay, all you guys are acquitted. Now they are acquitted. Now when they put Kelly Khumalo, Zandi Khumalo, Ma Piri, Ma Khumalo, all those 7, Tumelo Madlala, Mtoko Zizi Twala, Longwe Twala in the box and accuse them for the murder of Senzo Meyiwa, they're going to just say, and their defense will be, but we gave you the accused persons 1 to 5, you guys acquitted them, and hard luck. Because those 5 guys, I don't think they will come and testify on behalf of the state to say these are the people, because they will say, but we were not there, so we don't know. And then both parties will walk free, and that would be a travesty of justice. So for me, I think as much as there was public outcry and pressure, they were not supposed to charge these 5 accused persons alone. They were supposed to put that other 7 with them in that box. We were supposed to have 12 in that box and let them testify. instead of separating, because now they can cross fingers in different cases, and then some might be acquitted and walk free. That is actually guilty for killing Senzo Meyiwa.
All right, Mr. Hart, thank you very much. At least this trial has started again. Maybe, our eyes will be more and more open as we go further. Elton Hart, a legal expert from the University of Johannesburg.